Yeah, so I think my dream or my vision is to create this as a global media that is leveraging on social media platforms to push positive stories that could help progress nations and humanity and even mankind.
Okay, now welcome in everyone. This is Your Marketing Secret, which is my new show. And for the very first episode, I am very honored to have Richard Ker here, which is one of the, really a very interesting guy that I've been following for a while. And I just got to know that I just broke 100,000 followers on Facebook, correct? So all in all, total, you have got like more than 160,000 followers altogether, right?
With combined, I think it's 170 now because I just started to focus on my TikTok as well.
And yes,
it has been growing quite positively over the last 10 days, actually.
Yeah, I saw it's about 9,000 now, right? I just actually took a look just now. So Richard is a very, very awesome content creator. I've been following his, like content for a while. I love his work, very much about, how Malaysians shine in the, like a world right now. It's really amazing to find out that, hey, we are Malaysians, we are not bad, right? We have done so many awesome things, right? So I guess, before we dive into the whole thing, right, Richard, please share with our audience, like who you are, like what you did before this and what makes you start doing what you do right now.
Okay. So first off, I think I'm just like any other Malaysians out there, trying to make the country better and progress. A bit of background, I actually studied electronics engineering and also multimedia engineering for my tertiary education. After my graduation, I actually spent about 10 years living in China. So it was an interesting phase where China was actually rapidly developing. So I get to experience the tech development and of course physical development of China as well. And of course, living there after 10 years, I returned back to Malaysia. So one of the first job actually that I took up in Malaysia was actually with Magic, which is the government agency that looks after the startup ecosystem in Malaysia back then. So I joined Magic when Magic was just about 6 months old. So I was involved in developing the programs, training the entrepreneurs, running a lot of events and those kind of things. Eventually, I joined Cyberview, which is the government-owned company that looks after the development of Cyberjaya, which is also really tech-related. So I was involved in the smart city programs, running accelerator programs, working with corporates and really building that ecosystem here. And it's also because I've always been passionate about Cyberjaya. I think probably I'm the last few believers out there who still believe in the potential of Cyberjaya, that someday it will become the icon of the country. So I'm still rooting on Cyberjaya at the moment. Of course, then I joined Aerodyne, which is the Malaysian founded technology company, providing drone-based solutions, which is already ranked #1 in the world. And of course, along the way, I've been developing my digital skills as well, learning pretty much every day, experimentation on social media and those kind of things. And eventually, I decided to start my own company called Richard Ker Digital, which is essentially it's a creative marketing agency.
Yeah, guys, if you guys are interested, just look up for like richardker.digital. That's the website. And if you want to work with Richard, right? But Richard, how can one work with you? I mean, just a quick plug if there is anyone interested.
Just drop me an email, go to my website or follow my Twitter, just DM me on Facebook. I try to respond as fast as possible.
So you mainly provide storytelling or like content creation, digital marketing.
So essentially it's a digital marketing. But of course, if you look at how digital marketers out there, how do they make themselves stand out? So I use the storytelling method, which I think is probably one of the biggest gaps in the ecosystem that I've seen, being in the tech ecosystem in Malaysia, because I noticed there are a lot of interesting companies out there with excellent products, services, but they don't get that to build the traction because they're not telling their stories well, and it doesn't get out there, and people do not know about them, and it's still happening until today. So that's why I want to use, I position myself as a digital agency or creative marketing agency, leveraging on storytelling. and so that we would be able to highlight these companies or these individuals, not just in Malaysia but regional and global level as well.
Yep. And obviously, you have proven to the world that you are totally capable of delivering the result as you promised, which is like to really help a brand or in any, be it corporate brand or individual brand, to really shine in the social media with storytelling. But really, we just want to dive in because this show is about your marketing secret, right? Right. So how did you start the content creation, and what was the journey like? What was how it all started, and why back then for the whole storytelling journey.
I guess it goes back in 2015 or 2016, because that back then I was still with Magic, right? We wanted to promote our programs back then. Of course, there's already an existing platform, but I see the potential of using my own platform to push out our programs and make sure that people know about us. But of course, building that traction in the early days, nothing happened lah. Essentially, it's just like sharing, and then of course you get 1 or 2 likes, and that's it. But of course, then of course one day I said, okay, let me try to experiment. Maybe because I think back then it was I think around this time, at that point in time, when it was very near to National Day, and also there was a competition I think happening, a sports competition, and Malaysia won quite a number of medals. So I said, okay, let's try to compile of these Malaysian success stories into one single post. So I just used Canva and started a post about Malaysian heroes.
Amazing.
Of 2016, I think, if I'm mistaken. Just posted it on my Facebook, and then just didn't expect anything at all. And then surprisingly, people started to share, and then it actually got viral. I think that was my first ever viral post. So I said, wow. And then it was interesting because when you look at your Facebook, and then you get all this notification coming out non-stop, right? So like, wow, this is actually fun. So then, of course, I wanted to do more, try to highlight. So I expanded the content to 50 Malaysian heroes eventually.
Wow.
So it got bigger. Yeah, and then also it got somewhat viral as well. And then I started to build that traction, and then try to experiment various types of posts, not just about Malaysian, also talk about technology, talking about innovation, and sometimes even silly videos. So it was, but a lot of them were done strategically. It's not just about posting; it was about learning what is the feedback from the audience, and when it goes viral, I mean, what happens, and yeah, learning all of those, along those years lah. So of course, and then of course, I was building my followers as well. So I was observing like what's the best way to build it. Yeah.
Okay. Since you actually brought it up to this point, right? So what were what do we call, what did you do right? What are the things that you did right eventually? Like, what are the secret sauces that probably, if you don't mind, you can actually share with us a little bit, with if there is anyone wants to start doing this?
Actually, there is no secret sauce, to be honest. I think if you look at on whatever advice digital marketers or whoever digital social media gurus, right? They always say about being consistent. I think these social media platforms, Facebook or anything, they will reward consistency. And because when you post something every day, because that's the aim anyway, right? For you to be engaging on the platform, to get people on the platform, so that you will spend more time there, and then that's why they reward you. So if you're being consistent, of course, every time you post, then your post has potential to rank higher in the algorithm. So yeah, I mean, because since I've been doing it over the years, I guess I've actually built traction along those years. But I would just wish Facebook was actually much faster. But looking at, like, they're trying to control the throttle of like the reach and everything. So that's why the existence of other platforms, because people can leverage on them and grow their followers even faster.
Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, I loved about the consistency, which I totally agree, because I myself build my presence on YouTube, and posting regularly is definitely one thing. And I totally agree with you on the other part that you mentioned just now, which is using the numbers, as in like diving in to analyze what worked, because numbers don't lie, right? But it's Facebook analytics, because you say mainly your platform was like it's still Facebook. Does the analytic give you a lot of numbers or insights to help you?
Well, in fact, because I'm actually just using my own Facebook profile, you don't get to see a lot of data from that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So you can say that my Facebook's actually grown organically. I have not done any ads or anything like that. So it has been growing organically over the years. So of course, and some of these are some of the hacks that I've done.
All right.
Maybe you could consider this as a secret, because I said I'm passionate about Cyberjaya, right? So of course I built a Facebook page called Cyberjaya Community, and the reason I started that, it's because 5 to 6 years or 6 years back, there were a lot of people do not know what's happening in Cyberjaya. So I said I'm going to start doing something and share about what's happening on the ground, what are new shops opening, what are the community events happening in Cyberjaya, and those kind of things. So whenever so that page has grown as well. So, and I can write pretty much about anything related to Cyberjaya, right? So now it has grown to what, 60,000 followers.
Wow.
I think. I mean, not that big, but it was okay lah. So one of the hacks that I've been doing is, when I post something about Cyberjaya on my profile, I share my profile on that page. So it was somewhat like get people to know me on that I'm actually doing an advocate for Cyberjaya, right? So that's one of the things that I'm doing lah. One of the hacks lah, I should say.
Wow, that's a very powerful one, because this is something that is not being mentioned by a lot of social media gurus or content creators out there, which is in fact having a like a traffic powerhouse.
Correct. So it is like somewhat accelerating the growth of my own profile.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what about some mistakes that you wish you would have avoided, or probably you would have done differently from the very beginning until
now? I think I should have started focusing on my Twitter much earlier. In fact, one of the reasons that I decided to do my own company today, it's because the explosive growth of my Twitter account. So what happened in April this year? It was just, I think, just before the Raya break, I think. So I said, okay, back then my Twitter followers were just about 1,000 followers. It was just friends and some people I know. I tweet occasionally about Cyberjaya there as well. And there's a one Twitter account that focuses on Cyberjaya, but it's not me. So he tends to share my tweet or retweet my tweet. So of course that was just focusing on that kind of stuff. And then eventually I said, okay, let's try to do what I've been doing on Facebook, highlighting some of the Malaysian success stories on Twitter. And then said, okay, who should I find? So of course, I thought about maybe we should look at Malaysian who is probably working at NASA.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I just Googled for Malaysian NASA, and I found Miss Florence Tan, who is the Deputy Chief Technologist at NASA, right? So there was no article about her anyway. It was just mentioned on the website itself. And then of course I said, okay, let's do a tweet about her. So then I create that content, so applying some of the copywriting knowledge that I know, making the threads really simplified without actually putting bombastic words on those kind of things. Make it really simplified, and creating sets of threads. So that went viral. Of course, that got and was picked up by various medias, as far as I know. I know the Rakyat Post was picking up that story, and like Sinju Jitpo, I think, and some of the Chinese media, right? I think it even actually got to the attention of the Johor Sultan Johor. Yeah. So
amazing.
He congratulated her lah, but not me, but to Florence Tan. So that's why I said, okay, maybe I should be doing this more often. So I focus a lot of building that kind of content. After that, so I was highlighting about Maideen, Ramli, and some other Malaysian success stories lah. So that accelerated the growth of my Twitter account. So it was growing from what 1,000 plus and at that time, and to today, I think about 38,000.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I said, okay, maybe there's a good potential to that since I already have a sizable audience. Maybe I could leverage on storytelling and help push out more stories from entrepreneurs, from companies. So as you know, over the last few weeks, some of my posts has is still getting that kind of traction. So especially when I talked about graphene recently, graphene, which is a wonder material that I was comparing it against Wakanda's vibranium. So
Awesome.
that was just like out of the blue. I said, okay, maybe since these are two wonderful materials, maybe I should create a story that is interrelated, that people could resonate. People, it's leveraging on the pop culture as well. So yeah, so that went viral as well. And yeah, so that is probably something that I would do and start.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, totally something that we have never explored before, because to be frank, right? A lot of the digital marketers in Malaysia, especially, do not really know how to navigate Twitter. Would you be able to offer some like advice for anyone who wants to start on Twitter? If there's any tips from you?
Twitter. I think the only best way to build traction is to create value. Do not sell. Build your community there, and then educate people, bring value to them, let them learn something from you or your industry. Build that trust. I think Twitter is a great platform actually, despite people say there's a lot of negativity on Twitter, but you can be different there. So especially if your content that you create, there's a potential that it can really go far. So I'm still focusing on my Twitter. I'm still aiming to grow it to hopefully 50,000 by this year. And of course, Facebook has already grown. LinkedIn, yeah, it's there. It's about 20 plus now. And of course, TikTok is something that I would like to focus, and I hope that I could reach 100,000 next year. Hopefully.
Awesome. And you did mention that there are 4 main platforms that you're focusing on right now. How do you
That's
juggle?
correct.
How do you
How do I
balance?
juggle?
How do you juggle? It's a lot of work, man. Seriously.
So these are probably one of the hacks as well, because
Okay, I like that.
if you see Twitter, right? Twitter. So that's why I normally do it on Twitter. It's easy. It's you create a thread, and then from there I just screenshots and then I just redistribute the content on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well. The reason I do that because of course when I was working full time, I didn't have time to do edits and those kind of work lah. So I just sort of like a lazy thing lah.
I think it's smart. It's really smart. I like to consume that kind of pieces of content from you, though.
Yeah, so I think it's I think it is effective, and the best thing is it retains the branding as well. So if you look at Twitter, right? So you have my profile photo and my name. So doesn't matter if it's once I post it on my Facebook, if it goes viral, people will download. And I know when I was posting about Malaysia is number 1 and number 2 in certain areas, I know that post was circulating on WhatsApp as well. People downloaded them and spread it around within all these mom and pop WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I must say actually I installed back Twitter because of you. I actually I have not been using on Twitter. I mean, I've not been on Twitter for a while, and because I wanted to see how you do it and everything over there, so I actually installed Twitter back on my phone. Awesome. I mean, that's a lot of nuggets that you share with us right now. But here's one more thing that I would like to quickly pick your mind. How do you monetize your effort right now, or is there any intention doing it? Are you working with brands right now? Any brand gigs? Or any other brands?
Yes, I'm actually working with some brands already. Actually, it's a few good brands in the pipeline. But of course, most recently I've been working with Maybank, but of course indirectly, to promote one of the new solutions, which is a cardless with withdrawal. And I see a great potential as well to leverage on my platform eventually. That's why I want to focus on TikTok, because I see huge potential there. To push out storytelling. And the experiment that I'm doing over the last 10 days is basically repurpose my content from Twitter and basically narrating them.
Yeah, I saw like your Ramli is there.
Yeah. So the content is very similar to what I've tweeted before, right? So it's just that it's narrating. I just want to find better ways that I could, create that really quick, because currently the one I'm struggling right now is to create the caption. I wish there's a way to automate that, but so far none lah. But I think there's a way. There's a better way. I'm just exploring. But I can see that if it goes far, then my clients can be global already. I can really leverage on my platform, just like what Nas Daily is doing lah.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, that's where you're heading to. Awesome.
So I think my dream or my vision is to create this as a global media that is leveraging on social media platforms to push positive stories that could help progress nations and humanity and even mankind.
Love that. All right, so one last question for you, Richard, before I let you go. What would be your advice for anyone who wants to do something like you do?
So just like the Chinese proverb, I think they said the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. So I think similarly to build something online in the digital space, you need to start today. You shouldn't be overthinking whether it's going to work or not. Just put it out there, learn from it, and get feedback from people, get feedback from your audience. That's the best way to learn, because if you're overthinking, and it won't take you anywhere. So for me, the journey is still ongoing, but of course I've reached a few milestones over the last few months. I'm very appreciative of all my people in my community for supporting my content and everything. It motivates me to do even more. So start something today. Don't overthink. Just do it.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard. And thank you for watching.
Thanks, Jason.